So, have you ever played this game? Well, considering its sales numbers, I'll assume at least some of you have played it in the past. I know I have. Every once in a while, I'll pop this game onto the console and just vibe for a couple of minutes. There's some fantastic game modes like Spin-Off, Board Game Island, and my personal favourite, Globetrot. And the glue that sticks these modes together are the minigames, which add up to an honestly pretty horrid total of 79 minigames. But surprisingly enough, most minigames are real bangers, and there aren't that many stinkers. And every minigame was played at its average difficulty, which is advanced difficulty, and out of the collection, there's only one me that could do such a task, and that's John Wick.
I'm going to need a gun.
But anyways, let's just get going. 79, Flying Fruit. From a conceptual level, this minigame already sounds kind of ass. I mean, you have to count fruit. Big whoop-de-doo. The game specifically tells you what fruit to find and how many have scrolled through the screen, which already sounds kind of boring. However, if you're in the group of 3, there is absolutely zero chance you will ever win. The game tells you to point the Wiimote to the screen and cover the fruit so the one player doubts if it is or isn't the correct fruit. But if you think you can cover anything with these tiny paddles, then you're severely mistaken. I swear these paddles are at the very most 2% larger than the actual fruit. It's an atrocious minigame for the 3 players, as it's an easy victory for the 1 player, and it's a terrible minigame for the 1 player, as they have to waste everybody's time by counting fruit. 78, Crybabies. If you ever wanted to feel what it feels like to legally own a child, well, do I have good news for you. But for the rest of us, it's probably going to be one of the worst experiences of our lives. Like, no, I don't want to take care of this baby. They're annoying, taxing, and they're probably going to steal my wallet. You have to time your heartbeat with your motion controls, and that is it. No fun and diverse controls, or interesting theming. There's only sadness and regret, just like in real life. 77, Skipping Squad. You just make 5 me's skip on a rope, and you and your partner have to time each other correctly. Keyword try, because this might be the most unresponsive minigame in the entire game. I mean, just look at poor John. Also, something strange in these pair minigames is that some have a direct and understandable objective like escape from the mansion or find the treasure, but others have this score/point system, which means you don't really win or lose, which makes it kind of difficult to know if you did well or not, which is kind of a huge mistake in their part. So minigames with a score system will probably land lower than others. 76, Spring Ringers. Second most unresponsive minigame in the entire game. You're supposed to launch rings through the flower pots, but most of the time you're either going to undershoot or just not throw altogether, and your partner is kinda useless. 75, Strategy Steps. There is nothing strategic about this minigame or these steps. So you pull up a sign with either 1, 3 or 5 written on it, and if you're the only one that pulled up a unique number, then you're allowed to jump that specific number of steps until you reach the top of the hill. Now the CPUs are relentless here. Look how high I managed to get up this hill. Basically nothing. And it's a long minigame too, which could last over 5 minutes if things really go south. 74, Face Flip. This is our first luck-based minigame, and spoiler alert, not many of these are good. Normally, luck-based minigames are easy to understand. Here you've got to pick the card with your face in it. One from the top row, another from the middle row, and the final one from the bottom row. And if you pick the incorrect one, it's the next person's turn to do the same. But this game drags so much, it takes its sweet time to get going. Every single action has a delay. Picking the correct card, wait for this 2-second long animation. Got it wrong, wait for this 2-second long animation. Took too long to pick a card, wait for this, and because there's 4 people playing, it kills the pacing of this game completely. There's so many layers of crap in this game, it's insulting. The only reason this game is not at the very bottom of the list is because it works. It's not fun or good, but it works. 73, Puzzle Pickup. You solve several 2-piece puzzles, and some might have your Mii's on it. It can be somewhat funny, but it's just a really dull minigame with basically 0 entertainment value. 72, Bumper Crops. You just put fruit in their correct box with the help of your bird and a plank of wood. You tilt your Wiimote if you want to move left or right, and shake your Wiimote if you need to launch the fruit to your partner. 71, Fruit Focus. You memorise what fruit goes where and take turns while doing so. It's almost like if there's some kind of curse and Wii party that makes every fruit focused minigame turn out terribly. 70, Lumber Wax. This is another extremely one-sided minigame where the 1 player has complete control and the other 3 players have to waste their time. The 3 launch logs at 1 player, but it takes next to no effort to destroy them with punches and kicks by just shaking the Wiimote up and down like a madman. 69, Nice! Maze Days. This might have been an uninteresting but okay minigame if there wasn't a choose mechanic in play. When you land on these spinny platforms, you just turn your Wiimote 90 degrees and keep going until you reach the centre of the maze. But don't tell this to anyone, okay? 68. Friendly face off. You just solve a puzzle with your respective Mii's face on it. If it's a human-like face, great, but if it's not, then it's going to be kind of difficult to solve it. Also, have you seen how fast the CPUs solve theirs? This ain't even master difficulty. Or it's probably just me being a shit player. That could be the reason too. 67. Feathered frenzy. You grab feathers using the pointer and hope to God they don't fly off. But you've got to be precise, because if your pointer is a little bit off, it will fly off and you'll have to try again. And these golden feathers are 10 times worse. They give you 3 points, sure, but what's the point of them if they're going to fly off to Brazil? And besides, why are we even catching bird feathers? Don't they have like diseases? I don't have much to say other than whoever grabs the most feathers wins, for obvious reasons. 66. Shepherd scramble. You just have to incentivize sheep into your stable and prevent the other person from doing the same. Grab as many sheep and hope for the best. Don't really like this one. Every time you want to ring the bell, your character stops in place, and that's just a little irritating. 65. Timber tuple. You have to chop the tree and shake the Wiimote when your Mii is holding the axe at its highest point, and do this over and over again. It takes a while to get going with it, and it gets pretty tedious very quickly. 64. Follow your face. I like this fancy arena where the minigame takes place. It almost feels like a room very close to where the spin-off game mode takes place. It's got this theatre stage aesthetic nailed to a T. You turn into a ball and you have to select which cup your character is in, but then it gets faster. And then it gets even faster. It gets so blindingly fast, I don't even know what's happening. 63. Lucky launch. Possibly the easiest minigame in the entire game. You pick a firework, and then it's up to luck to decide who's the winner. Now, this is how you do an RNG minigame. Not, you know, this. But an RNG minigame is still an RNG minigame, so I believe it shouldn't land any higher than this. 62. Risky railroads. Basically the same as the previous minigame, but you get to choose from 3 train tracks, and the only thing protecting you from crashing is Lady Luck. This minigame can last a pretty long time. It's basically a poor man's version of Bowser's Big Blast. There, you get to start with more levers to choose from. The more people die, the less levers spawn, making the chances of death increase. Here, no matter how many people die, there will always be 3 pathways to choose, which kind of blows. 61. Dicey Descent. The third and final minigame, well, it's actually technically the 4th one, but that one was that's purely RNG based. This one has the best presentation bar none. However, you've got to choose wisely between the red or the blue pill. I meant platform. One of these will have a lightning cloud in them, and if you hit one of these twice, you die in real life. So don't do that. But as I said, it's all luck. Therefore, I can't keep this minigame any higher. But it's still fun though. 60. Colour coordination. Now this may look like an absolute mess of pixels, but in actuality, it's piss easy. Just stand on some buttons to make your partner cross pressure sensitive platforms. Not a favourite of mine. 59. Chin up champs. Press A and B at the same time over and over again and observe how your Mii does some funny moves. It's as simple as can be. 58. Hidden charms. You and your partner have to find 5 4-leaved clovers on a painting full of 3-leaved clovers. Touch them all and you'll win. Touch the incorrect clover and you'll lose time. Also, your partner is extremely useless here. Dude, we have a mission here, don't just hang around. And even if your Mii did contribute, this minigame is kind of bad. 57. Banana blockade. This minigame actually has multiple variations, which is good. Replayability in any way is great. And it's sort of fun moving the boxes in the maze and solving some puzzles. But this minigame also suffers from that one problem the other pair minigames do. There's no time limit. So, if you wanted to, you could basically leave your house, grab a waffle, eat it, come back, and you would have done just as well as if you have never stopped playing the game. 56. Sheep crossing. Shepherd scramble, but not as bad. You have to maneuver this contraption to herd the sheep onto the other side of the river. The controls can be sometimes a bit whack though. 55. Basket bonanza. Land as many trick shots alongside your partner and score as many points as humanly possible. If you thought this was going to be like Wii Sports Resort Basketball, then you will probably be kind of disappointed. Just shake the Wiimote and it will land on the hoop every time. Just be careful and don't knock your partners as basketballs by accident. 54. Robot factory. Yep, that is a robot, and yep, that is a factory. Great titles, guys. You have to assemble some robots, but you have to grab the correct torso and upper body for each robot. You, for example, cannot create a green and red robot. The option would have been nice. Man, how many of these pair minigames are left? 14! Oh my god. 53. Flysicle team. You fly with a bicycle over the ocean and grab hearts to increase your stamina and keep flying until you fall down. It's a good endurance test, but again, there's no clear objective, so you can either reach 1,000 kilometers or 1 kilometer and still receive the same victory screen, but it's still kind of fun. 52. Pop-up bandits. pop the bandits on screen with your gun and avoid shooting the women, because women can't get shot. There's some better aiming and shooting minigames further on the list, but it can get quite tense if both players are really good at the game. 51. Pearl Plunder. You turn into a mermaid or mermaid man and collect the pearls by pressing the 2 button over and over again. It's just slow enough to not be that great, and the arena is kind of cramped, making it kind of unenjoyable to play in. If some of these issues were solved, it could have been slightly better. 50. Pose aerobics. Look at John Wick go! This one is one of the better balanced 1v3 player minigames. The one player has to choose between 3 poses, and the other 3 players have to replicate the former's pose, and if you fail, then they get the boot. Very simple, but very fast paced, making it one of the better 1v3 games. 49. Space race. Everyone turns into a super me and they have to complete a race on a figure 8 in space. You can gain some speed by going through the hoops and do it in 3 laps. It's alright, I guess, but we have far better, and we even have some better racing minigames in the future. It's kinda simple. 48. Springtime. Remember Crybabies? Well, the controls are exactly the same, but literally everything else is completely different, which is fantastic. You race your opponent with a pogo stick through a park and jump over stones, stairs and bridges. You time your bounces correctly and gain more speed by doing so. Good racing minigame. 47. Walk off. As the name implies, you walk off. The game tells you how many meters/yards you have to walk in, and when you think you've walked that exact amount, the game asks you to press A and see if you're the victor. It's functional. 46. Chopper hoppers. You control some helicopters with motion controls and press A to release a rope ladder for the Miis down there to grab onto. Collect the most Miis and you win. I like how this minigame uses consoles Miis, which could create some funny situations. It's kind of jank, but not to the point of being unfair, unless your Wiimote is broken. 45. Channel changes. Change the 6 screens from the bottom to the same one from the top. That's all. It's a really tense minigame, which is perfect for a 1v1. And again, look at the funny Miis. Never in a million years would I thought RT Game would have a Wild West style duel with the Joker. But aside from that, it's good stuff. I like it. 44. Rodent Rundown. You have to catch a rat with the help of another Mii. Why? Well, that's because your rat stole the door key, and it's your duty to grab it. It's a really challenging minigame, and you have to synchronize pretty well with the other character to be able to retrieve the key, or you can just be lucky, which works, I guess. 43. Pump Cart Panic. This is probably going to be the hottest take in the entire video. A lot, and I mean a lot of people have a fiery vendetta against this minigame because it's a bit misleading. You have to pump down and only down, and the other dude does the same. Why do we have to do this exactly? Oh, because George Lucas is coming to get you. These are some high stakes going on. I thought I was playing Wii Party, not Mario Party. Oh, would you look at that? The setting is really fantastic, and it's really satisfying when you win. 42. Spotlight Fight. Strictly calm dancing? Nah, man. Wii Party is in the house. Stand on the spotlight and you get to go to the next round. Something like punching your opponent would have been nice, though. 41. Hide and Peek. 3 players have to pick a hiding spot and 1 player has to find them. 1 player has to pick a site, and if someone's in that site, great, but if not, we'll try again. You got 4 more chances of finding someone. Also, you can hide there, which is either the stupidest play or the most big brain move, depending on how the other players do afterwards. 40. Hammerheads. Whack-a-mole. It's just whack-a-mole, but you can whack your opponents, so I think that's pretty good. Hammer the normal moles and gain 1 point, but hammer the golden ones and you gain 3 points. It's fine. 39. Fishing Buddies. You fish with your buddy, and your mission is to catch as many golden swordfish as possible. The controls are really satisfying when you catch a fish, and something I never understood is, why is the music so hype here? Dude, it's just fishing. Chill the hell out. 38. Popcorn Potty. Shoot your can as many times as possible and win. You can shoot your rivals as can to annoy them, and even shoot them off screen temporarily to annoy your opponents even further. You can affect the outcome of everyone here, but so can they, so beware. There's many options, but also tons of risks, and don't drop your can on the floor, as that will decrease your points accumulated through the entire game. 37. Can Poppers. Almost the exact same as the previous minigame, only this time you have to cooperate with your teammate, and at first one person focuses on one can and the other player does with his. But then a third one is thrown into the mix, which completely changes everything. It forces you to be good at the game, but thanks to this one change, it makes it one of the hardest minigames to be efficient at, but one of the best to master. 36. Splash Bash. The best 1v3 game, which isn't saying much considering the roster size. The 1 player has to knock the 3 other players off this platform with a wrecking ball. The 1 player can set any angle they want to knock the other 3 players. It's really nerve-wracking stuff for the 3, and for the 1, it's also pretty fun. 35. Balloon Buggies. Explode the balloons by ramming into them with your buggies and avoid the spiky balls, because look at him go. Also, the controls use the gyroscope. which is not the most ideal way of controlling your cat, but I think it fits for this one minigame, but don't do this ever again, okay? 34, bobsleigh highway. Race to the clock with a bobsleigh, but I don't know. Putting some obstacles or some pits that you could fall in would have made this minigame a bit better, but as it stands, it's fine. Though don't look at the penguins here. God damn, they're ugly. The controls are based on your ability to tilt the controller, which can be kind of inconsistent, which could cause you to miss the boost panels, but that shouldn't happen often at all. 33, stopwatches. You're sat onto a show, and the goal is to stop the watch by pressing the big button, and whoever clocks the nearest number from the one at the top wins. But this won't be easy, because after a few seconds, you won't be able to see the timer. So unless you're a cheating cow, you won't have a timer. I know I've said this a lot, but this is a lightning fast minigame, and intense doesn't describe it fully. 32, flag foot race. Catch the flag on the beach, shake your Wiimote up and down, that's it. I like how before you begin the race, you're anxiously waiting for the gunshot to announce when to begin. You can't just start the race whenever you feel like it. You have to either hear the gunshot or see the referee physically move the gun. 31, flag fracas? Fracas? Fraker? Exactly the same as the previous version, and I mean exactly, except it's a free-for-all instead of a 1v1, which makes it slightly better. 30, smile snap. Take a picture and see how many people are looking at the camera. Also, dude, how much of a are you for not having the decency of not looking at the camera when I'm taking a picture of you? 29, commuter count. Ah man, the classic counting minigame that everybody loves so much. Well here, it's really well done. Here you're on the train tracks and you've got to count exactly how many people are in the train. If there was a need to create a counting minigame, I think this is the way to go about it. Let's quickly compare this minigame to a very similar one in Mario Party. Roll call. There, everything's mostly static and you've got a very large amount of time, which kills any intensity this game might have had. Everything happens extremely quickly and doesn't waste your time at all. I don't have footage of it, but guessing the exact number of people on the train is just mwah, very good. 28, saucer snap. The rules are simple. Press the A button to take a picture of an oncoming UFO, and whoever's picture is in the center of the frame wins. Some simple minigames are just intense to play, and this is definitely one of the best ones to do so. 27, shutter pop. You have to take the most pictures of a dog, and whoever's pictures are the best and have the highest quantity of them wins. You have full control of where you go, but you have to be quick because whoever snaps a picture of the dog will leg it to a completely different side of the park. So ideally, you'll want to take a picture when the dog is idle. But if you're a real Chad, you can take a picture of the dog while it's still moving, and take another one almost immediately after the previous one. 26, meet and greet. Open the wrong door and you'll either find someone shitting, a boxing glove attached to a contraption which will punch you, a loose chain holding a tire which will roll you over. It's got some great slapstick humour. Sure, there's no time limit, but it's still kind of fun. 25, roll the goal. What if you wanted to play Super Monkey Ball, but in 2D? You roll a ball in this maze by tilting the entire stage up and down until you reach the finish line. There's, to my knowledge at least, several variations of this map, so I think it's pretty fun. 24, barrel daredevil. This is just a big game of chicken. Stop the barrel from falling by pressing the A button. Now this might sound lame, but this has got to be the tensest minigame in the game. Sure, if you want to play it safe, you can just stop it when the barrel's somewhat near you, but you're not a real one if you haven't done the 0 meter challenge, where if you press the button at the perfect time, you get the maximum score. If you have, give yourself a pat on the back, but don't press the button too early, otherwise you won't be able to win. 23, goal getters. If you like football, or soccer for the Americans, well, do I have good news for you. Time your kicks correctly and you'll score goals. But then there's these massive footballs, which if you miss, will either miss completely or they'll launch you to the other side of the court. Score a maximum of 5 points and the minigame's over. 22, chop chops. Shake the Wiimote like an absolute maniac to see who chops the vegetables the quickest. 21, jumbo jump. You have to ski jump, and the moment you reach the very edge of the ramp, you shake the Wiimote to see who reaches the furthest distance. But if you fail, you will become a snowball. Be sure to have the wrist strap on, otherwise you'll launch the Wiimote to the walls. 20, blastronauts. You and your partner have to travel from the bottom of an asteroid field and reach the spaceship with rocket power propulsion, and you've got to coordinate your moves between both of you, as any delay means you'll hit the asteroid and potentially lose. The CPU is actually really competent here, if you thought that that would be a problem, then cheers. Also, in the end of the minigame, this rocket is very quick to start and reaches what actually looks like the French Mediterranean coast at such a fast speed that the only logical answer is that that rocket you're driving is going at light speed. Now, if we take into consideration that light travels from the moon to the Earth at about 1.3 seconds, the distance between the Earth and the moon is about 382,500 kilometers. So if anything hit the Earth at that speed, then something like this would happen. I just found that funny because this will happen primarily in France, and if I have a chance to mock France, then I'll take it. 19. Lunar landers. Instead of going up, you fall down, but the asteroids here are goddamn fast. This might be the wackiest minigame here. Everyone's fate is basically up to luck. No one is safe from this minigame. Either you have a smooth ride to the finish, or you'll get smacked from all sides and end up crippled. It's brutal, but brutal in the funniest of ways. 18. Tippy traverse. Cross this huge chasm by synchronizing your movements with your partner, and you better mirror what your partner does because you'll end up dying. Most of the time the CPU is very smart about this, so no worries. 17. Torchlit terror. This minigame had more effort put into it than the entire back half of all minigames in this game. What if you were playing Luigi's Mansion, but not as good? Scare the small ghost with your torch, and with the power of friendship, you can kill the bigger ghosts. There's tons of rooms with several ghosts, all of them having unique designs. It's got some fun stuff. One of the best pair minigames out there. 16. Pop coaster. Kind of the same as the previous minigame gameplay wise, only instead you blow balloons with a gun. If there's a bloke who loves exploding balloons with a gun, it's John Wick. There's no time to waste, however, because this roller coaster never stops, and you got to be precise with your shots. Also, the amusement park aesthetic is just very fun to be in, man. 15. Paddle pals. You and your paddle have to go downstream in a river, avoid rocks, logs and all that stuff. The controls are half tier. One player paddles to the left and the other to the right, which is fun to manage about. The physics elevate this minigame extremely high. It's really amusing, and I like how nature filled this map is. It's just nice. 14. Lofty leap. You're in the jungle, and your task is to launch yourself with a vine, and you have to catapult yourself the largest distance to see who wins. It's really entertaining. You've got to shake your Wiimote up and down so your Mii gets enough speed to catapult yourself. You can go so high you can reach space, or even launch yourself backwards for the fun of it. It penalises you, but you can still do it for the fun of it. I like how the more distance travelled forwards, the more luscious and vegetated the area around you is, and vice versa. Thanks to its physics, it's got to be one of the best minigames out here. 13. Quicker chipper. You put some balls and it's quite simple. The further you lift your Wiimote, the higher and higher the meter will go, but you can't overshoot it or undershoot it, as you will waste some time and not be able to put the ball in the hole. But if you land it on the spot, and if you're a real daredevil, launch the ball when the meter is just about to overshoot it, and you will score, not just in one hole, but the ball will land directly on the hole. Do you know the skill that it takes to do that? This one feature completely changes this minigame from being a decent one into a real highlight. 12. Poppin' pilots. You have a terrifying battle on an aeroplane in a canyon, and you've got to explode more balloons than the other person. It's a really dynamic minigame. You will start outside, and then in the second half, you'll be inside the cave, and you'll finish the game back outside. And it's up to you what you do with that plane. You can be a good Samaritan and focus on how many balloons you explode, or you can sabotage your opponents by crashing into them and overall just being an arsehole. I like it when a minigame gives you options on how you want to tackle it, and the controls are really enjoyable. You use the gyroscope, and they function really well. 11. Hurdle hover. You have to race with the boys in this hidden bridge, and you have to jump over logs and barrels. It's a really easy minigame to grasp, but a really intense one, as these obstacles become faster as the minigame goes on. And if you think you'll undershoot your jump, you can stall in the air. Sometimes stalling is mandatory not to lose, but now we're getting close to the top 10, so let's see what minigames are still left. 10. Shifty gifts. This one is one of the more memorable minigames from Wii Party, and for good reasons. You have to try to balance all the gifts to avoid the cars and bikes from knocking them over. It's not really about being the most still, but rather balancing the gifts in the in-game wind. The longer some players last, the more present they are forced to balance. It gets extremely tense at times, and this is an absolute gem of a game. 9. Derby Dash. It's racehorse betting, but without the crippling gambling addiction. And besides, why would you want to gamble when you're the one racing? You have a meter which shows how much energy has been depleted. Don't start revving up the horse until the halfway point of the race, as none of the horses can go off screen. This is all about mind games, by fooling everyone by thinking they should go faster in the early section of the race. I would have liked some sort of item usage, but aside from that, it's great. 8. Tropical Punch. You are armed with a big boxing glove, and you got to punch everyone else off the platform. The setting is fantastic, it's just so luscious and lively, and overall just chill. You have full control of where you go in the boundaries you're given. The main strategy is to hit the Miis from the back, as if you hit them from the front, the boxing glove will cushion their hit, and they might retaliate. It's a true top tier in this list, and it's definitely better than the sum of its parts. 7. Teamwork Temple. This is the final pair minigame, and what a minigame this is. This is the Dungeon Duos of Wii Party. Literally, or well I guess Dungeon Duo in this case. There are several mini challenges in this one minigame. The first challenge is putting the chess pieces in the angle drawn on the walls. Then you've got to press the light switches in the correct order. Then you and your Mii can alternate between the top and bottom path and use these planks of wood as catapults. Then you have to time correctly your movements to not get squished by these blocks. And the final challenge involves you and the other Mii pressing this gemstone multiple times to open this golden door. And what's inside that treasure chest? Gold. Just wow. This minigame is peak. 6. Ram Jam. The rules are simple. Go from here to here, but the sheep will absolutely block your way. You've got to manage the space you're given and use the gaps to cross this path the quickest. And trust me, you've got to be quick because your opponent will keep you on your toes. As a concept, this is definitely one of the funniest games here. We have loads and loads of sheep just chilling, and in execution, it's an exceptionally fun game. 5. Back attack. The design of this arena works perfectly. Shoot a cannon at someone from behind. That's it. Well, not quite. You can increase the speed of whatever you'd call this, but after that, it's all on you, and how you tackle it is your own business. It's a sound formula, and my god is it fun. It's one of the very few minigames which you actually want to repeat over and over again. It's like that one Wii Play minigame that everybody talks about, only bite-sized, and that right there is a compliment if I ever heard one. 4. Space Brawl. You get to go head to head against everyone else in a space battle. The setting is fantastic, and the music is good too, but the gameplay is great. You have to ram each other, and shortly afterwards you can pelt asteroids and satellites to each other and see who is the king. And in the background you're travelling at the speed of light, going through planet to planet, and even enter through wormholes. And then you get to do a little pose when you win, not seen anywhere else in any other minigame. 3. Delivery Duel. It may be my Mario Kart bias showing, but this is the obvious 1v1 king. There are many variations which change how you tackle the track, and the track itself is great. It's like a Diet Delfino Square, but you can also get to mess your opponent by crashing your bike into each other. And here's a funny narrative I made up. An unknown man orders 2 pizzas, one from one company and another pizza from the rival company. They have both an intense competition to see who's victorious. Both drivers shed blood, sweat and tears to see who's the ultimate driver, and when John arrives to see who's the anonymous caller, turns out to be Peter Griffin. Incredible. What a masterpiece. 2. Ball Brawl. You're spawned in a futuristic arena where everyone has to kill each other by sending them into the pipes in the corners of the map, and when enough time has passed, the centre of the arena falls, and you've got to be very careful and brave to fight anyone. And even more balls fall into the arena to add more spice to the match. The controls work flawlessly, and the speeds you go at are speedy enough to be entertaining as hell, but not too fast to the point of being uncontrollable. But it's not quite number 1, as there's one minigame that beats it, and that's 1. Zombie Tag. Yeah, this is pretty good. You have to run away from the zombies, but these zombies aren't just regular zombies, as these zombies can be your Wii console's Miis. So if you have funny Miis, you can get some strange results like Michael Jackson, which is actually really fitting surprisingly. You have to run away from the zombies until you're the only one standing, but even if you do fail to avoid the zombies, they'll infect you. But in contrast with literally every other minigame in Wii Party, you are in full control of your zombie transformation, meaning you can infect other non-zombie players, which is not a detail they should have put in the game, but they still did, because they're based like that. The setting is fabulous, the gameplay is quick and snappy and intense, and has some of the most unique mechanics in the game, and Michael himself. I therefore crown this minigame as the best one in Wii Party. Well, that was a crazy long video. I'm just glad there are no other Wii Party games out there. None whatsoever. What did you say? The hell is a Wii U?